The hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10, the 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer, wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads Webcast, February 16th edition, as we get set to talk some WVU football and WVU basketball here in this one, plus take any of your questions you may have. Of course, questions from channel members are always welcome, but if you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, you could send it as a super chat as well. We appreciate that here. Just like I appreciate you guys tuning into this one, whether you're watching live or on the playback. Either way there, you can help me out while you're in here watching. Hit that thumbs up button, give this video a like so that way it can find more Mountaineer football fans or Mountaineer basketball fans like you and me. And then if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you can get these videos directly into your feed. You can be notified when we go live, as we do multiple times per week here now. And of course, you can get the WVU News Daily videos into your feed, which come out every weekday here, Monday through Friday. We're going to talk some staff changes here for WVU football. We're going to talk a little bit about WVU basketball, improving their chances here to make the NCAA tournament recently, and West Virginia football may be in the mix for one of the higher-rated transfers left in the portal. All that on the docket for this one moving forward, and of course, answer any of your questions that pop up here as we go through the stream. So that's what's on the docket for this one. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. Let's get set and let's start off talking a little WVU football, and then we will transition into basketball there at the tail end. Let's start with the departure, and then we will talk about the coaching addition, because, I don't know, it's just a little bit of a weird situation, I guess you could say. West Virginia hires a coach less than 2 months ago to come in, be the pass rushing specialist on the defensive side, coach the edge rushers, the Bandits a little bit as well. And then all of a sudden, we start hearing rumors that he may be on the way out before we even get to spring football. Let me see here. Let me pull up a couple of tweets here to reference this for you guys, if I can find them here. So, the initial tweet that I saw was this one here from Pete Nakos. And usually, once this starts coming out from whether it be, On3, CBS, 247, ESPN, whoever it is, and they're talking about someone working to hire someone, it's pretty much all but done at that point. And that's what we had here. I believe this was yesterday this started to come out, where Georgia working to hire West Virginia pass rush specialist Larry Knight as their outside linebacker coach. We know the Mountaineers just hired him. I just talked about it on a recent show, less than 2 months ago. So at this point, I was a little bit worried. I think I retweeted this and said, well, that's certainly something at that point, but was still waiting on, a little bit more official announcement to come through. And then here tonight, we started to get some reports of that. Let me share this one here, which I think the original one I saw was from Graham Coffey here on social media, as he says, sources tell me that Georgia has hired WVU edges and pass rush specialist Larry Knight to be the new outside linebacker coach just hired by WVU in January after he was the defensive end coach and run defense coordinator at Arkansas State in 2025. Had a team that picked up a lot of sacks, and we were excited about him coming to Morgantown to help improve the pass rush. But now he's moving on to Georgia, and it's just a little bit frustrating to me, in my opinion. And I know there's been rumors of him not being happy here. There's been rumors of Georgia offering more money, all of which are probably very viable reasons why he chose to move on. But to me, it's more about kind of the principle of the situation. Just my personal feelings here. Just going to rant for a second. But I think, if you commit to a job and you leave before you ever fulfill that job, that just doesn't personally sit right with me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's just kind of how I am and where I'm at with this, because I'm just like, if you weren't going to be committed here and you were going to leave for the next best offer that came along, why even accept the job in the first place? It's just kind of using people, in my opinion. That's kind of how I feel about it. But neither here nor there. It is what it is. Can't control it. He's going to move on, and West Virginia is probably going to try and fill that void there and bring in another coach to coach, the edge rushers, be the pass rushing specialist, if you will, as Larry Knight's title was there when he came into West Virginia. But the plus side, now if you want to look at the positive side, as you guys know, I'm forever the optimist, always trying to do that. I think the plus side here is that he will owe West Virginia some buyout money, from what I understand. And so West Virginia can take that money, utilize it to go out and hopefully get a new coach to, fulfill that role, coach those edge rushers for the Mountaineers this upcoming season. And I think West Virginia does have some good edge rushers in tow already. And that kind of transitions into something else I want to talk about here. We'll get to the other staff addition momentarily, but West Virginia is targeting a really good edge rusher in the portal. Those portal additions, some of them come later on, come throughout the mix here, and West Virginia in the mix for one that is very highly rated as far as players remaining in the portal. Let's pull this up here. Jerry West enthusiast sharing this on social media. I think my friend Paul over at Locked On West Virginia has talked about this a little bit as well. But Cameron Morgan, a transfer edge from Baylor, who is, one of the best available edges left in the portal, actually the very best, according to On3, which I'll show you guys momentarily. West Virginia in contact with him. From what I understand, he's even talked to West Virginia's general manager, Chuck Lilly. So the Mountaineers going after Cameron Morgan, who has, multiple years of eligibility remaining, 6'5", 251, highly sought after. SEC's programs are after him, Big Ten programs are after him, and West Virginia is in the mix here. My only concern now is the fact that West Virginia just lost their pass rushing coach, the coach that was probably going to be Cameron Morgan's position coach. Does that affect West Virginia's chances to maybe land Cameron Morgan? Fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that it doesn't. Maybe West Virginia is able to entice him with whoever they're planning on hiring to replace Larry Knight, but I am a little bit worried that this could damper West Virginia's chances to potentially land Cameron Morgan, a really talented edge rusher. But I trust that this staff, with the job that they've done with the portal class that they've already bought in, with the recruiting class that they signed out of high school and the JUCO ranks as well, both of those being top 25 in the nation, that they have a good plan and a good pitch to potentially try and land Cameron Morgan and add him to, the cadre of edge rushers that West Virginia's already brought in this year that should help improve the pass rush this upcoming season. But a little bit more on Cameron Morgan here. Let me pull up the On3 transfer portal here, and I have this sorted by best available, as you can see here. So the best available players, and I went to the edge rushers, and if you look here at the rankings, the best available edge rusher left in the portal is who? Cameron Morgan from Baylor, who West Virginia is in contention for. So, we talked about the home run job that West Virginia did, both recruiting the high school ranks and with their portal class thus far. This would only go to even make that, even greater with the addition of Cameron Morgan here, potentially. West Virginia in the mix, and the fact that they're in the mix with some stout competition, I think is a good sign. We'll see what happens, but we'll keep our eyes on Cameron Morgan and see where he lands, as West Virginia is in contention for his services, something I'm pretty excited about. So, we may have lost a coach, but we got a chance to land a good edge rusher. And the Mountaineers have added another coach to the coaching staff as well. Let me pull this up really quickly. Now, he's not a full-time position coach like we had there with Larry Knight. This is a defensive analyst, but still a staff addition that we want to cover. And it is Justin Fields. No, not that one that you're thinking of, the former Ohio State quarterback that's been in the NFL for some time now. But a different Justin Fields joins West Virginia staff as a defensive analyst as we continue to cover this coaching staff in the lead up to 2026. He is the most recent addition, but he won't be the last addition. With Larry Knight moving on, West Virginia will fill that void as well. So we will have more coaching staff updates to talk about here in the future on the CRW. But that's what I wanted to cover here on the football side with this one was the departure of Larry Knight, and I kind of had to rant about that one a little bit just because it just doesn't sit right with me. When you hire a guy, he leaves, a month and a half later before you even get to spring practice. I don't know. It's the principle of the thing, like I said earlier, to me. But get that negativity out of the way. Let's talk about the positive stuff, and that is the fact that West Virginia is in contention for Cameron Morgan potentially, and that West Virginia has added Justin Fields as a defensive analyst to this coaching staff. So that's what I wanted to talk about there on the football side. See, we got some more people popping in here. Appreciate you guys coming in here and rolling in. Got some comments from channel members we'll get to really quickly before we roll into the football side of the show here. The basketball side. Just wrapped up the football side. I'm getting my sports confused there, but we got some basketball updates to talk about as well, because after that massive win, another come-from-behind win for West Virginia, they have greatly improved their NCAA tournament chances, moving up the bubble, actually, on Joe Lenardi's bracketology, which we'll pull up momentarily. But let me get to some of these comments here because I see multiple channel members in here in the chat. Appreciate you guys coming in here. And with that, before I get to those comments, I do want to say, would love for you to become a channel member as well. You can do that by hitting the join button, which you can find right down there beside that like button that we talked about earlier, or you can go over to the YouTube channel homepage and you can have it there as well. With that, of course, you help me be able to keep the content coming for you guys, as this is part of my full-time job now. But more importantly, you help yourself to a ton of bonus WVU sports content, including, but not limited to, things like, film reviews after football games, player grades and snap counts after football games. We do game watch party streams for select WVU basketball and football games. We have behind-the-scenes content. You get custom WVU football helmet badges. We do one member's hangout stream per month. We got one coming here at the end of February. And as football season's, getting ready to commence with the start of spring practice next month, good time to hop in there. And of course, we got a lot of sports going on simultaneously right now. So would love for you to become a channel member as well. Have a greater chance to get your comment read here in the live streams. And of course, super chats always do that for you as well. But we have multiple channel members in here. I see my guy Trey Edwards in here asking, what's the point taking a job when you're going to leave before the year begins? Way to destroy a culture. You set a shit example for these kids, and that's why the sport is currently the Wild West. Shaking my head. Trey, we're on the same page, brother, as we usually are, and I completely agree on that. It's not right, man. It's not right. Like I said, it's the principle of the deal. I've had multiple people talk about, Georgia offered him X amount of dollars, and that's all fine and dandy, but like I said, if you were going to leave for the next best opportunity, why even take this job? Why not sit around longer and wait and see what other offers you get? I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me either, Trey. So I understand what you're coming from. And he also asked about the kid from Baylor, with the coach leaving, if we still have a chance. I like to think that this staff probably has a plan in place. Hopefully that this didn't catch them, off guard and wasn't out of nowhere, the departure of Larry Knight, to where they still had a pitch to, present to Cameron Morgan even without Larry Knight. Maybe they already have somebody in mind they can, sell him on. I think West Virginia still has a chance. Like I said, they have to fight off, plenty of good suitors there between the SEC and Big Ten competition. But I do feel like West Virginia is still in the mix for Cameron Morgan from what I've heard, Trey. So hopefully that remains the case. We'll see how that pans out. My guy Devil Dog 44 in here. Good to see you, Devil Dog, as always. He says, let's go. Hey, Mountaineers, Devil Dog. Let's go, Mountaineers. Eric Flowers says, we might still make the big dance. Hey, so you're telling me There's a chance, Eric. Insert Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber here. But I agree. I think, 2-3 weeks ago, I felt like the ship had sailed and West Virginia probably wasn't a tournament team. But hey, how about the resiliency, the resolve of this club under Ross Hodge? Multiple double-digit comeback wins in the past 10 days, both being on the road as well. And all of a sudden, this team has a fighting chance. And we're going to talk about that more momentarily when we get into the basketball side of the show here on the back half after I catch up on some of your all's comments. But I agree, Eric. There is a pretty decent chance right now. When you look at the schedule, the games remaining, West Virginia has a chance in a lot of them. And, we talked about it on the last stream that we did, that there were 7 games remaining. You probably needed to win at least 4 of those. Well, you're off to a good start getting 1 win, and it's a win against a team that was ahead of you in the conference standings, that a lot of people were saying was probably already in the big dance. And, if you can take down those teams, that improves your chances, and getting road wins helps. And, of course, I think that's a Q1 win for West Virginia as well, which I believe has 4 on the season now. I'll pull that up momentarily and go over that as well. Devil Dog says, bring back Castile. Hey, you got him out of retirement once. Maybe you try it again. I doubt it, but I like the thought there, Devil Dog. I like the thought for sure. Let's see. Devil Dog says, good to see you live with you, and the show you did with MP on Locked On was awesome. I appreciate that, Devil Dog. Had a lot of fun with that one. I'm hoping to, return the favor and have Mountaineer Paul here on the CRW on a live stream in the future, as I'm trying to do more of these now moving forward. Had been doing the pre-recorded West Virginia daily videos, WVU News Daily videos rather, but want to add more live streams in the mix because I miss them. I miss chatting with you guys here live and, getting your all's questions and all of that stuff. And it's been a while since I had a chance to do them, but I'm trying to do multiple per week now moving forward, this being the first one of this week here with the February 16th edition, but we'll be plenty more of those, and hopefully me and Mountaineer Paul from Locked On West Virginia there get to collaborate more in the future, because I enjoyed that as well. Had a good time on that show. Hey, Raven, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. The ladies were on the struggle bus last night against TCU. Yeah, I put out on social media, I was like, they just have our number right now. From the Big 12 tournament last season to both regular season games this year. Unfortunately, just haven't been able to get the job done against those Horned Frogs. Olivia Miles, that guard that they have, number 5, she's one of the best players in the conference, one of the best scorers in the conference. And then the big man really is what concerns me with her, or the big woman, I guess I should say there. Clara Silva, 6'7", is so hard to deal with in the paint. It hurt us in the Big 12 tournament last year. Thought we were better prepared with some of the ladies that we have down low this year. And I thought that we battled, especially in that first half, coming out with the lead at halftime. But they just have our number right now. But the optimistic side, like I said, I'll always revert back to that bright side, right? Is West Virginia's now due against TCU. They beat us 3 times in a row. If we match up against them in the Big 12 tourney, I like our chances. We're due for a win there against the Horned Frogs. Regardless, though, even if this West Virginia women's team doesn't secure, the top spot in the Big 12, win a regular season title, I like their chances in the conference tournament, and more importantly, I like their chances for a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Still got my fingers crossed they might be able to secure a top 4 seed in that NCAA tournament so that they could play a potential tournament game in Morgantown. How cool would that be? But I got a good feeling about this West Virginia women's team this season. They've done, phenomenal things already. I think that will continue. Hopefully that game against TCU is just a blip on the radar by the time it's all said and done. We need more watch-alongs, Eric said. Hey, I'm planning on it. Hoping to do one on Wednesday, if nothing else comes up, for the WVU basketball game on Wednesday. It's later tip. I think it's 8:30 tip for that one, but hoping to maybe do a watch-along for that one. And, of course, once football season rolls around, we'll have them for every away game pretty much here on the channel. And as this basketball season closes out, hoping to do plenty down the stretch here. And if this team does make the big dance, maybe we'll get to do some March Madness watch-along streams for you channel members here, which will be a first here on the CRW, which is something I'm hoping to be able to do. And maybe we'll get some in the Big 12 tourney as well. Got some coming for you, Eric, though, for sure. Hey, my guy Steven in the house. What's up, Steven? Hope you're doing good, brother. He says baseball ranked 25th. Yeah, I saw that. I saw they creeped into the polls. That's something else I put out on social media. how many polls are there for baseball? My goodness, I thought college football had a lot. I woke up this morning and scrolling through Twitter, and I seen like 5 different baseball polls. I'm like, how many ranking services are there for college baseball? Sweet Jesus, I couldn't keep up with which one is the main one. Football, at least you got like the coaches poll, the media poll, and then the college football playoff poll once you get later into the season. But man, baseball has like a ton. There's a D1 baseball. There's a Baseball of America. There's, I could go on, but I did see they creeped into the top 25 of one of those. I think they were already ranked in one, if I'm not mistaken. But glad to see us, at least getting some respect after starting the season on the road, as we have to do here at West Virginia until weather permits us playing at home in March. But going to Georgia Southern and sweeping that thing, breaking out the brooms, I was excited for the start to the season there. 3 straight wins. Steven says, I think 4 main ones are recognized. D1 baseball is the main one. Good to know. I will note. I'll keep an eye on the D1 baseball one. Yeah, I was about to say I saw at least 4 this morning, so I figured there was at least 4 when I woke up and was trying to check those rankings. But glad to see that the West Virginia Mountaineers popping up in the baseball rankings for sure. And with that, I think I'm all caught up here on the comment section. So let's talk a little basketball here on the back half of this stream, because the West Virginia Mountaineers doing a great thing to improve their tournament chances with that win over UCF. Super excited about that. And like I said, that's the second time in 10 days that West Virginia's had a big come-from-behind win, both being on the road. And actually, we have a graphic to talk a little bit about that. The first one, of course, coming against Cincinnati. And if you look here, with 14 minutes to go in the second half, West Virginia trailed by 12, and Cincinnati had nearly a 92% chance to win that game. West Virginia came back and got that one. And then, of course, this weekend, with 11 minutes to go, West Virginia trailed by 14, and UCF had a 97% chance to win the game. And guess what? West Virginia pulled it off. That resiliency, that resolve that I referenced earlier came through, and the Mountaineers pulled off another big comeback, come-from-behind victory on the road in Big 12 play to improve their tournament chances. So much so that Joe Lunardi now has them listed here on his bracketology as we pull this up. West Virginia, previously didn't really show up here, but now if you look, trending up and in the next 4 out. So we can move up to the first 4 out and hopefully get ourselves to the last 4 in. And I think as you look down the stretch of the West Virginia schedule, there are multiple things that hopefully help favor West Virginia. You just beat UCF on the road, and they've been really good at home. Not so good on the road. You have to play them in Morgantown. Hopefully you like your chances there now. You also face a Kansas State team that just let go of their coach. Maybe that gives you a better chance in that game. BYU, one of the games that we talked about when we looked at the schedule on the last stream, talking about what West Virginia needed to do, to win more games down the stretch to potentially improve their tournament chances. BYU was one of the main ones we looked at because we said they probably needed to beat BYU or Texas Tech. They fell to Texas Tech, still have BYU on the slate, and BYU is now without one of their best players, Richie Saunders. Hate to see that for BYU, but that does improve West Virginia's potential chances to earn a victory there. So I think as you look down the stretch now, 6 games remaining, and I think West Virginia's got a good chance in all 6 personally. And if you win out and you finish, 7-0 in your final 7 games after we just took out UCF, that could be huge. I don't see how they could keep you out, but stranger things have happened. We saw what happened last year, but I will say, yet again, as I said previously, West Virginia is owed by the committee after, they let them down last season when they should have been in. If West Virginia's, close on the bubble this year, hopefully we're able to sneak in. Karma, reverts back our way a little bit this season. As we pull up the standings, and you see, right now West Virginia is sitting in the top 7, so firmly in the top half. They've now moved ahead of UCF, who is at number 8. And if you look at most bracketology predictions, UCF has been predicted to be firmly in the field. West Virginia beat them, and they're ahead of them in the conference standings now. That's got to improve your case. And then you look here, the top 6 teams, you play BYU. You got a chance to beat them, move ahead of them in the conference standings. And in my opinion, if you're in the top 6 of the Big 12 standings, I don't see how you're not an NCAA tournament team. And West Virginia has a chance to end up in that top 6 That BYU game looms large. A lot of these games down the stretch looms large. As I talked about previously, I think West Virginia needed to win 4 out of this final 7. They've got 1 win in the bag, so if they can manage 3 more. But the BYU one, probably the most important one remaining, in my personal opinion, just because they sit ahead of you in the standings. When I looked at the schedule previously on our last stream and talked about West Virginia's tournament chances, those were the 2 that I really focused on, was UCF and BYU, because they were currently ahead of West Virginia in the standings. You got UCF once. If you can get them twice, that's major. And if you add a BYU win into the mix there, then you're really talking, because I think West Virginia has a chance against a lot of the other teams they play. Utah on Wednesday, everyone's going to give you their best fight, but West Virginia should be, the favorite in that game and have a great chance to win that one, especially with it being in Morgantown. And then, of course, like I said, that BYU game is the one that I have circled on my calendar. We'll see what happens in that one. And as we pull up a little bit of the status of West Virginia and how they've improved, Ethan Bach sharing this one on social media. WVU now has 4 quad 1 wins, which is important. I think the thing that's probably hurting West Virginia the most right now is that they don't have any, big non-con wins. If they could have just held on and beat either Clemson or Ohio State, both games, which they should have won, it would have helped a lot right now. But West Virginia, 11-0 against Q3 and Q4, 1-3 against Q2. But the 4 quad 1 wins should help the Mountaineers here, as you see a little bit of that broken down here in the graphic. And I think BYU, despite it being in Morgantown, if you can find a way to win that one, that would give you a 5th quad 1 win, which would be very vital come tournament time. So this Mountaineer team has a great chance right now, in my opinion. They've really improved their standing. That road win at UCF did a lot to do that, but I like this team chances. Like I said, you should beat Utah. Fingers crossed. Stranger things have happened. You're going to get everybody's best shot down the stretch here. There's no guaranteed wins in this Big 12 conference, but I like their chances in that one. That's 2 wins. You'd have 5 games left. Beat BYU, and I think that could potentially put you in, especially then if you go into the Big 12 tournament and win a game or 2. It's going to be really hard to keep the Mountaineers out. They already have 16 wins. You win a couple more, get to 18. You win a Big 12 tournament game, get to 19 or 20. That's what I'm saying. You'll be in the top 6 of those standings. I don't see how the committee keeps you out of the tournament, but I didn't see how they were going to keep us out last year either. So we'll see what happens. That's just my opinion on it, but that's basically what I wanted to cover here on this show. Wanted to talk about the football coaching staff changes and then talk about basketball really moving up the bubble right now and trending in the right direction at the right time, and hopefully things are clicking at the right time as well for West Virginia to finish out this season strong and make their case to participate in March Madness. I think they got a good shot. We'll see what happens here down the stretch. See if we got any other comments here before we wrap up. Eric Flower says, we are really strong coming out of a timeout. I miss Huggins' smug comments, though. Yeah, you don't get too much of that from Ross Hodge. He's a little bit more, laid back, I guess respectable, crediting the other team, all of that stuff. But I do love the comment there about us coming out of a timeout. It seems like all the plays that Ross draws up, whether it's baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds, a lot of those end up with us getting an open look on those plays. And I think that he does a great job drawing up those plays out of timeouts. We are really strong coming out of timeouts, and that's a testament to good coaching. And, hopefully that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see, moving forward in the Ross Hodge era here at WVU. Trey says, BYU playing terrible right now. Need to really win out, in my opinion, to get in. Can't lose to Utah. Yeah, you can't have any bad losses down the stretch. That's going to hurt you as well if you have any bad losses. You lose to someone along the line other than Utah, I figure we get into. Yeah, definitely I think Utah is the one team you don't want to lose to just because the season they've been having. That would be a bad loss that could really hurt your resume. But as you said, that BYU win would be big, and I think you may be catching them at the right time. As you said, not playing their best. Their defense has been suspect for a lot of the season, plus now dealing with the injury to Richie Saunders. West Virginia's definitely, got a chance to take down that BYU team, and that's something that, I wouldn't have thought possible earlier in the season, but West Virginia trending up at the right time, and BYU, unfortunately, kind of heading the other direction. So I like West Virginia's chances in that one, but I agree with you there. You can't lose to Utah on Wednesday. Got to get that win first, and then let's go from there. That would put you, 2 straight wins in that final 7 games that we talked about in the last stream here. 5 games remaining after that. Let's see what happens and let the chips fall where they may. Like our chances. Steven says, absolutely have to win out and play well in the conference tournament, and I'd say we're in. I'd agree. If we win out in the regular season and win at least one Big 12 tournament game, I don't see how we're not in the field. I don't see how we don't make the big dance. But I'm just super excited that there's really a good chance now, in my opinion, for sure. Raven says she'd love to make the tourney and rub it in DeVries' face. Old DeSleaze. Yeah, so would I. Even more so, I saw someone else mention, Indiana has a chance to get in there as well. I'd love to play them in the first round. How crazy would that be for our first round game, West Virginia versus Indiana? You talk about selling some tickets and having some storylines in the lead up to that one that would, sell on a national perspective. That would definitely be one, and the Mountaineer fans would be hyped for that game. But even better, in my opinion, would be West Virginia getting in and Indiana getting left out. I'd love to see that also and rub it right into Sleeve's face, as you said there. But appreciate you guys, man. Y'all came out in force tonight in the live chat and had plenty of viewers in here for the live portion of the stream. But I know a lot of you guys will check this out on the playback as well. I appreciate that either way, whether you watch this live or watch it on a playback. And whether you did either one of those, you can help me out. Just hit that thumbs up button while you watch the video. Help that YouTube algorithm. And be sure you're subscribed here to the channel so you can get notified when we go live in the future here throughout the rest of the week. And, of course, get our WVU News Daily videos into your feed that we're putting out every single weekday here, Monday through Friday, where we cover all WVU sports. Now, we mainly cover basketball and football in these live streams, but those WVU News Daily, we're talking wrestling, tennis, track and field, baseball, swimming. I mean, you name it. We're talking all the WVU sports. Rifle team. Shout out to the rifle team as well. Talked about them today on WVU News Daily. Taking down number 1 in the nation, Kentucky, winning another conference title, and hopefully have another natty in their sights. But we're talking all those sports on the WVU News Daily program, releasing here daily as a pre-recorded video every morning of the weekday here, Monday through Friday. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And I appreciate you guys tuning into this one. Be back for another live stream here in the near future. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.